Yo, what's going on, guys? Crispy Flakes here for today's video, man. We got a video titled Luka Doncic just humbled the entire NBA. So as we all know, Luka's in the NBA Finals with Kyrie Irving. You guys think it's the greatest backcourt of all time? I'm pretty sure that's what people have been saying. That's the greatest backcourt of all time. Gotta see a few of these first. I know Kyrie got them, but gotta see a few to have that title. I'm just saying. But, yeah, let's check this out here, man. You know, it comes down to Luka. I think he's like a mix of, I always say Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce is like my go-to when I think of like a lethargic player. Paul Pierce, Steve Nash, and J.R. Smith.
Jaden McDaniels guard.
Just a dash, JR. Just a dash. A little bit of Austin Rivers. Pinch. Oh my goodness.
Luka will make a move. Once it ripped.
Man, he plays so pretty.
Works by McDaniels, who's got to be careful. Spins, fades.
Now looking like dirt.
Speed doesn't bother him, but length can definitely affect him.
Gobert is out there. Doncic.
Yo, Gobert, you are the most overrated defensive player of all time. I cannot stand you, Rudy Gobert. How dare you have the same accolades as Big Ben Wallace? Big Ben would never allow that to happen. Could we be up by 20? Ooh, just saying, okay. I can't. Cat's not. They better keep Cat. Get ready, Rudy.
They got rim protection. They got good on-the-ball perimeter defense, and they have the #1 overall defense in the NBA.
14 for Luka on the logo.
Yeah, just makes it look so easy. He just pulls it. So slow, but
when it comes to the 2020s era, we're seeing our past superstars, our past best players in the world, fall off every single season. And with that being the case, a lot of fans are asking, who is the next face of the NBA and the one player who will carry
the next face of the NBA is no doubt in my mind Victor Wembanyama. Without a doubt in my mind. Yeah. Without a doubt in my mind. It's Wembanyama. Because he's gonna take even a bigger leap next year.
Towards into the 2030s.
Who will be the next face of the NBA?
Ant-Man.
No.
He's the face of the NBA now.
It's just like when Jordan came up. Magic and Bird and Kareem and Moses, all those guys had to take a back seat. Ant-Man is here, and he's here to stay.
So, looking at the mainstream sports
Ant-Man's
media,
great,
guys like
but I think Ant-Man is more. I think Ant-Man's more Dwayne Wade than he is LeBron James.
Anthony Edwards, Wembanyama.
And D-Wade's not a face. He wasn't a face.
As the next face of the league. And I think it's safe to say Luka Doncic doesn't get nearly as much hype as he should compared to someone like Anthony Edwards. Which is kind of odd. Because Luka, from really his sophomore season on, was a top 10 player at worst. And looking at Luka at age 22 back in 2022, his individual play success far superior to someone like Anthony Edwards at the exact same age.
Age 22 Luka, first All-NBA, 5th MVP, top 3 points per game, top 3 assists, first playoff points per game.
Age. As Luka that season was first team All-NBA, 5th MVP voting, top 3 in points per game and assists, the playoff leader in points per game, and the second
He's not flashy enough to be the face, though. I'm just gonna say it, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But, like, you think of Michael Jordan, you think of LeBron, you think of them, you think of all the damn slam dunks and just saw, like, the crazy highlight plays. And, Luka is more finesse than he is strength. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, so some of the finesse shots he pulls off, literally out of this world, man. But I just don't think he has the marketability. I don't think he has the vocal, emotional maturity to be a face. Now he's still pretty young, so he can still get there, but I just don't know if I see him as the face.
The championship favorite.
Stunning.
I hate him.
27-point lead. Down goes Johnson. 3.
Now look, people back then gave Luka his praise, they gave him his flowers, but when it came to being anointed as the next face of the NBA, back in 2022 Luka wasn't getting that level of hype like Anthony Edwards. And that's why I call this year's West Finals the ultimate humbling moment for the mainstream sports media. As looking at Luka versus Anthony Edwards as a massive underdog in this series, 32 points per game, 10 boards, 8 assists, 2 steals on absurd shooting. Luka in this series reminded everyone why he's Luka Doncic.
I don't think necessarily that Luka was the underdog. I think the Mavericks were the underdog. That's the, I don't think it's like, whoa, like Luka did this. Like, that's Luka. That's what he's been doing, right? So I think it was more team than it was
points,
individual player in that statement.
Assists and steals. And while those numbers are impressive, the stats are gaudy. Where you saw Luka at his best was in the crunch time moments in the fourth quarter, compared to someone like Anthony Edwards, who most times folded came up short in the biggest moments. Look at game 1, for example. Luka in the fourth quarter, 15 points, 5-8 shooting, made 2 threes, and played all 12 minutes. And the T-Wolves late in this game had a pretty sizable lead, but in large part due to Luka Doncic, the Mavericks came back and stole this game. And looking at 3 plays in particular, Minnesota up by 4 Luka hit a step-back 3 on Anthony Edwards. On the defensive end, had the block on Gobert on the lob attempt. And most importantly, the dagger mid-range shot over Jaden McDaniels.
Yep.
That game 1 for Luka, one of the most complete games of his career, as he dominated start to finish and came through in the biggest moments. And looking at game 2, of course, the shot over Gobert. Not just a series-defining shot, but a career-defining shot. And if Dallas does win the championship, taking a 2-0 lead on Minnesota, hitting the game winner in Rudy's mouth, it'll live on in Luka Doncic lore as the best plays in NBA history.
Oh yeah.
And looking at
so did Damian Lillard's shot on Paul George and the OKC Thunder. Literally dismantled that team. But and that's kind of the same realm I put Luka. I think he's kind of more Damian Lillard than he is Steph Curry. I don't know. Maybe a few rings will change that. I think that's what he needs. He needs a ring. That will change my narrative. I mean, literally, like we're literally living the same storyline again, man. With you got Luka, big international player on the Mavericks going up against the 26-year-old superstar, on the Celtics, Jason Tatum. Pretty much like Dirk, going for his first ring, really had to solidify his legacy going up against the 26-year-old LeBron James getting that ring. I think that's what needs to happen here. Like this series is going to heavily define Luka Doncic's just perception, Not to say that he can't win if in the next 10, 15, 10 years probably, right? 15 maybe? I don't know. How long is Luka going to play for? I don't know.
Game 3
But
back in Dallas.
He got to get a ring first before we start talking about face.
3 of 3 shooting from the field in that quarter. And the biggest shot he hit all game. The impossible fadeaway McDaniels with the shot clock winding down.
Yeah,
and I
sick.
can't forget Kyrie Irving in the deep corner of the dagger shot to seal the game and essentially the series.
Man, was
And
open with
having
like
those two guys
Ray
on the
Allen.
same team, Kyrie and Luka, there's a lot of debates, the best backcourt, best scoring backcourt. And honestly, I don't really care about that. Because one thing I do know, this is the most clutch backcourt I've ever seen. As really no duo in NBA history has 2 guys late in games who relish big shot making, can pass the ball, create, and just hit all types of shots late in the fourth quarter.
Man, I don't know how I feel about that statement, though. Are these both extremely clutch players throughout their career? Yes. But I feel like you have to do it together for a while, for longevity, to say, like, best of all time. Like, can you say Luka and Kyrie are 2 of the most clutchest players I've ever seen? Yes. Does that make them the clutchest backcourt? I don't think so. It's giving me a lot of good things to think about in this one.
And one more thing I do want to talk about is the so-called killer instinct and just the mentality to go for the kill, strike the jugular, and end the series. A lot of fans brush this off. Not a real thing, it's fake, it's overblown. You see that a lot. But Luka in Game 5, I thought showed once again the killer mentality and the killer instinct. As in Game 5 in the first quarter, really the entire first half, was playing like a rabid bear with a 32-ounce steak right in front of him. This dude was hitting step-backs from half court.
How was it
going
cooked?
to paint,
Black bear,
flip
polar
shots,
bear, brown bear,
just getting whatever he wanted.
bear,
He was
beats,
possessed.
Battlestar Galactica.
And as a so-called neutral observer, when you watch a Game 5 in the playoffs, you want it to be close and competitive. This game, it was anything but. And watching it at halftime, it just gave me deja vu back to that Suns-Dallas series, Game 7 in Phoenix. I mean, it was nearly identical. As Luka back then in 2022, in the first half alone, 27 points, 3 assists, 9-12 shooting with 4 made threes. Luka in Game 5 versus Minnesota in the first half, 25 points, 3 assists, 10-16 shooting with 5 made threes. I mean, that right there is eerily similar. And once again, it shows Luka Doncic has that mentality, that attitude to end games early in the first quarter and even the first half. And the funny thing about Luka Doncic is, only being, 25 years old, already numerous iconic games, series, and especially buzzer-beating shots versus great NBA teams.
That's all fun when you're, what does he say, 25 now? He's 25. But you lose in the finals. Maybe you make it to the conference finals next year. Next year after that, maybe you get out in the second round. People don't care about your highlight reel anymore. They only like his highlight reel right now because he still has, father time on his side. But this series, nobody's going to care anymore about what he did. It's about what he's doing now. Because you can be fancy. You can be all clutch and stuff in the regular season. Or, Game 17 in the first round of the 2017 playoffs or something, man. I don't know. But he's in the NBA Finals. It's about rings. It's about being able to lead your team to victory. And that's what he's got to do. Him putting himself into this situation, being in the finals, negates everything he's done in the past. Nobody cares now.
And the most impressive thing about Luka, in the biggest playoff games, the biggest moments, nearly always rise to the occasion and comes through.
Closeout, elimination game.
Closeout game.
Playoff route. Okay, so closeouts, averaging 32. Elimination 35. Game 7, 41. Playoffs 31. Heck yeah. Do that against the Celtics
And
now.
Luka Doncic.
I'm not saying that like cocky, like, oh, now do that against the Celtics. Like, please, let's see, do against Celtics.
Elimination games, 35.0 points per game, that ranks first. Game 7s, 40.5, also first. And just general points per game average in the playoffs, 31.1, which is second, only to Michael Jeffrey Jordan. If any other superstar player, young player, 25 and under, had those type of numbers and performances in big games, they'd be getting dubbed the next face of the NBA and the next player of the century or millennium. But unfortunately for Luka, a lot of fans in the media kind of reluctant to give him that title as the face of the league. And look, if Luka becomes that, I'm here for it. I'll embrace that. But I do find it very peculiar. Someone like Anthony Edwards has a good 2.5.
So I guess maybe I guess I have a good question. Maybe you guys can help me out with in the comments. Why isn't Giannis the face of the NBA? Giannis is still relatively young. He's got the ring. He's got the dominant stats. But I don't really think anybody's ever really seen Giannis as the face of the NBA either. And I guess the question is that is an international player going to be able to be the face of the NBA? In my opinion, I think I don't know. I think to say the face of the NBA, I think there's so much to it. But yeah, I think about so many dominant international players, and none of them have really ever been known as to be like the face of the NBA. It's always kind of been more like a top 5 player, but never the face. So what is the criteria to being that guy? Does it have to do with being international? Does it have to do with how you present yourself? Does it have to do with the type of numbers you put up? Is it a combination of everything?
Week stretch. And all of a sudden this dude, the next MJ, he's branded, he's the face of the NBA and the league's future. But Luka Doncic, toss him to the side. And for Ant specifically, that back half of his playoff run, he was downright mediocre. And when speaking about Luka Doncic, Luka's mediocre series are still better than a lot of players at their best. I mean, look at this series versus the Clippers. 30 points, 9 boards, 10 assists on 41.
No, I definitely agree that Edwards should not be deemed the face of the NBA yet. I don't disagree with that whatsoever.
Luka versus the Thunder. 25 points, 11 boards, 9 assists. 45% shooting, but still, a mediocre series for Luka Doncic. And you might ask the question, how did Dallas win both those series?
Bro, you got damn Kyle Anderson keeping up with you, though. Where's that quickness?
Kind of meh for his standards. Well, it all comes back to fourth quarter play and clutch time play. As Luka in both those series, the biggest games, biggest moments, came through time and time again. In the first round versus the Clippers, Luka's fourth quarter scoring. 6.8 points per game, 48% shooting, 46% from 3, with a plus-minus of plus 5.2. Look at the OKC series, the fourth quarters, games 5 and 6. 12 points, 5-11 shooting, 8 assists, 1 turnover, and was a plus 9 in both those fourth quarters. Look, I get it, clutch time play, fourth quarter play, it is kind of subjective. There's not really a definitive stat for it. When you see Luka play the big shots he hits, you know this guy undoubtedly is one of the best clutch players in league history.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to call it Luka's revenge tour, I mean, go ahead and say it. Because at every single turn, this team and Luka himself have proven everybody wrong. So that's why.
Well, not quite yet. I mean, like up to this point, yes. But to be the face of the NBA, to be an all-time great, you gotta win championship rings. So this series is gonna tell a lot. I think this is a story that's yet to be finished, clearly. But I don't know. I don't really think Edwards is good enough to be the face of the NBA. That's not disrespectful. I'm talking about he's not LeBron. He's not Michael Jordan. He's a great player. I think he's Dwayne Wade. Luka Doncic, I don't even know where I rank him, man. But I think he does do things that, you know, your average person can't freaking do. But I think the way he plays, you know, he's not like dunking and stuff. It's not always fun to watch. I think it's a big part of being a face. You gotta be marketable. And I think he's kind of more like lackadaisical. I don't know. I don't really know what we got to face in the NBA. It's hard to think about that because, man, I would have to say Wembanyama. Because, you know, that also closes the gap of an international player, you know, being able to be the face of the NBA, which over the past 20 years, international players have taken over the league. So many talented players in this world, man. Wembanyama, I think, has the, I think he's pretty good on the mic, too. You know, he's pretty good in front of, that's a big part of it, too. You got to be personable. You got to be personable. You can't just go take care of business like Kawhi Leonard and just not, you know, hear from him ever again, right? Heck, I think if Tim Duncan had more of a, interesting personality, people would have been talking about him as the GOAT. But he was boring. At the end of the day, it's just a title. But I think a lot of it comes down to more than just the stats. There's a lot that goes into being the face of anything. So that's all we got for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Peace out, my friends.